I'm going to tell you about a book I wrote called Huckleberry Finn. Huck was ignorant, unwashed, insufficiently fed. But he had as good a heart as ever any boy had. His liberties were totally unrestricted. He was the only really independent person, boy or man, in the community, and by consequence, he had tranquility and was continuously happy. He went down the river with a runaway slave, the slave of the lady who had taken care of him, much to his chagrin, who was now running away, and they were floating down the river on a raft down to Cairo, where Jim could disembark and be on his way to freedom. The closer they got to Cairo, the more Huck started to think about his moral dilemma. Can you hear me? We figured we was coming to Cairo. Well, I can tell you it made me trembly and feverish to hear him, because he was so happy, because I begun to get it through my head that he was most free. And who was to blame for it? Why, me. I couldn't get that out of my conscience. No how and no way. You got to trouble me so that I couldn't even rest. I couldn't stay still in one place. But now it did, and it stayed with me. Scorched me more and more. I tried to make out to myself that I wasn't to blame, because I didn't run Jim off from his rightful owner. But it weren't no use. My conscience up and every time says, but you know he was running for his freedom, and you could have paddled ashore and told somebody. And that was so. I couldn't get around that, no way. That is where I pinched. Conscience says to me, it says, what had Miss Watson done to you that you could see her nigger go off right under your eyes and never say a single word? Why, she tried to learn your letters, and she tried to learn your manners, and she tried to be good to you in every way she knew how. That's what she done. I got the feeling so mean, miserable, I most wished I was dead. I fidgeted up and down the raft, abusing myself to myself. And Jim was fidgeting up and down past me. We neither of us could keep still. Every time he danced around, he said, "There's Cairo!" It went through me like a shot. And I thought, if it was Cairo, I reckoned I would die miserably. Jim talked out loud all the time while I was talking to myself. He was saying how the first thing he would do when he got to a free state, he would go to saving up money and never spend a single cent. And when he got close enough, he would buy his wife back, which was owned on a farm close to where Miss Watson lived. And then both would work, and by they could buy back their 2 children. And if their master wouldn't sell them, he'd send in an abolitionist to steal them. I almost froze to hear such talk. He would never dare to talk such talk in his life before. Just see what a difference it made him. The minute he judged he was about to be free, well, I think this comes of me not thinking. Here was a slave which I had as good as helped run away, coming out flat-footed and saying he would steal his children. Children that belonged to a man I didn't even know. A man had never done me no harm. I was sorry to hear Jim say that. It was such a lowering of him. My conscience got to stirring me up hotter than ever until at last I said to him, "Let up on me. I ain't too late yet. I'll paddle ashore at first light and then I'll tell." Once I done that, I felt easy and happy and light as a feather right off. All my troubles was gone. I went to looking out sharp for light and started singing to myself. And by one shows, and Jim's the one sings out, and he said, "We safe, Huck. We safe. Jump up and crack your heels. That's the good old Cairo at last. I just know it." I said, "Well, I'll take the canoe and go see, Jim. Might not be, you know." He gave me a paddle and I shoved off. Pretty soon I'd be shouting for joy and I say, "It's all on account of Huck. I'm a free man and Huck done it. I'll never forget you, Huck. You the best friend that Jim ever had." And I was paddling off, all in sweat, telling him. When he says this, seemed to kind of take all the tuck out of me. I was certain whether I was glad I started or whether I weren't. There goes the old true Huck, the only white gentleman ever kept his promise to Jim. Well, I just felt sick. But I says I got to do it. I can't get out of it. I paddled around and I paddled around. And then finally, I got back on the raft, feeling bad and low, because I know very well I'd done wrong. And I see there weren't no use for me to try to learn to do it right. Body that don't get started right when he's little, and he ain't got no show. When pinch comes, there ain't nothing to back him up and keep him to his work, and he gets beat. When I thought a minute, I says to myself, hold on. Suppose you done a right and you give Jim up. Well, you felt better than you feel now? No, I says. I feel bad. I'd feel bad then, too. Just the same as I do now. Well, then, says I, what's the use you learning to do right when it's troublesome to do right? Ain't no trouble to do wrong, and the wages is just the same. I was stuck. I couldn't answer that. So I reckoned I wouldn't bother no more about it. But after this, I always choose that which come in handiest at the time. How'd that be?
Oh, that was fantastic.
Huh?
That was fantastic.